All right, I've put this one off for a long time, haven't I? It's been about 2, maybe 3 months since this interview was recorded. I don't think I'm going to go through the entire thing, but there are specific points in this interview that I want to watch and comment on. I have watched this interview in full previously. I think the last time I watched it was, I think the day it came out. Maybe skimmed through a couple parts one other time, but other than that, yeah, I haven't really dug into it deeply. I skimmed through it right before I went into even thinking about doing this because originally I wasn't going to do, and I really haven't done those videos where I sit and watch an entire Deeg interview for 3-4 hours because generally people don't really get through them, and I really have to I have to not be lazy, and I have to go through and timestamp stuff to show people what they actually want to see. I made this interview is relatively short compared to the other ones that he has done before. It's only 2.5 hours. I may sit here and do a 2.5 hour local recording and then chop up. There's a few parts that I want to be here for. Why leave Rogue Planet Games? Looking back on 7 years, challenge of knowing who to listen to, maybe a little bit of this life and death in live services gaming. I don't really care so much about the guy's fundamental, uh, you know, preserving a sense of wonder. I think there is some stuff in there, but when it comes to the guy on his fucking YouTube channel or his burnout and stuff, there might be some stuff to glean from there. Dream Games and currently don't give a shit. I could care less about what the guy does in his personal life or what games he's playing, just if it relates to what he's working on. And this goes for any game dev. But anyway, with all that out of the way, I guess I'm going to get started here. This is on Deeg's channel, Deeg Thoughts. Make sure when you type in Deeg Thoughts in YouTube, it'll try to take you to Deep Thoughts, which used to be a reoccurring skit on SNL a long time ago for you old heads. But yeah, this is from the Deeg podcast number 74, Rel saying goodbye to Planet Side 2. And without further ado, we shall begin.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Deeg podcast. Today, I have for you a conversation with Michael Henderson, a man better known to most of us as Rel. Rel announced a month ago that he was departing Rogue Planet Games, the developers of PlanetSide 2, after having worked there for 7 years on PlanetSide. It's the end of an important period in PlanetSide 2's development and the beginning of a new period in Rel's life. And I knew from the moment I heard the announcement that I would want to catch up with him to find out why he left and what he's up to next. Please enjoy my conversation with Rel.
You'd probably end up asking this, but the long and short of it is that the company's goals and my personal goals didn't align. I
Mm.
didn't see myself in that particular future with what they had planned rather. So
Hmm.
I think that it's as good a time as any to part ways.
Now, hindsight, us having several months of hindsight now to look back and see, I think we can see where the company wanted to go with the game. They wanted to, and this is speculation. I have nothing specific, but in that this is speculation, I think it might be well founded speculation, considering what we've seen happen in the time since Rel has left. Now, to me, it seems like the game's not making money. It's losing money now. It's hemorrhaging players, losing players. The last couple years, we're still pouring money into the game. I don't know how much, probably not a huge amount, and we're not really getting any return. Pops are still going lower and lower and lower, even though not catastrophically dropping. Uh, Pops still are generally not stabilized, and they're still falling gradually over time. So maybe, in my estimation, the company says, okay, why this game's fucking about to be 11 years old. It's got a super niche player base. We're pouring money into it still. It's still costing a lot of money. We've got other projects. We want to take some of this money and the people that we have working on this game, we want to put them on other stuff. I think now is the time. It just had its 10-year anniversary. Now's the time, I think, where we scale back and we're gonna put this thing in hospice. Okay, we're gonna put this thing in maintenance mode. And like Rel says here, his goals, which at this point I'm not really sure what his goals were for the game. At the end, I have no idea because everything he's tried, every one of his main goals has failed over the years. I'm not sure what goals he still had left, if he was still trying to hang on to the thing where he's gonna grow the game and expand the game in certain ways. Yeah, so that's my read on it, is that they wanted to shutter operations pretty much without saying that's what they're gonna do, and he didn't want to be a part of that, so he ended up leaving. Like I said, a lot of this has to do with hindsight. When this happened, when he did this interview in like June or July, I'm not 100% certain we could have been sure of this. But now being almost October, I think it's pretty safe to say that this is the route they wanted to go. Uh, and he didn't want to be a part of it. And kudos to him for, I don't know if they split amicably. I don't know if he gave his 2 weeks or something like that. I've heard on the grapevine that they knew like 5 months in advance before he was leaving, so I don't think it was necessarily I don't think it was a surprise thing. So who knows?
Man, just been getting like wicked burnt out over the past 2 years prior, as well, as I kind of mentioned in my
I
video.
could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out when you spend all your intellectual energy pushing for things that make the game substantially worse and more unplayable in the short span of 2 years, and you get a lot of critical feedback from that. Uh, yeah, I can imagine burnout. Yeah, dude.
So now, I mean, the goal is I just want to sit in a basement and make games and just do something I enjoy and make them just for me.
Not
And
be
if you like it,
accountable to anyone
cool.
else, not manage
Right.
anybody. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the changing of direction, is that a slow burn over time, or is something that's come through? Like, don't say any more than you want to, but I'm just kind of contextualizing in my head.
Sorry, how do you mean?
Um, you said that at the end of the day, that the company's direction didn't line up with what your personal goals were. You're a very goal self-directed guy. I respect that. I relate to that. Is that like a slow burning thing that you could see coming in terms of the dissonance, let's say?
I I want to say that things shifted rather quickly for me.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
I know how that goes at jobs. Things can change quick.
the right. There's only so much that I could that I really want to get into.
Certainly. There are still people
But yeah.
there who I'm sure you like, and like you said, I hope they do. I guess I can ask him and find out and get the real deal.
No,
So
yeah. Feel free.
yeah,
Send a message.
yeah,
No, all
yeah.
those folks are good. I I had a really good team to work with, and I think that's part of the reason that I hung around for as long as I did.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Mm. Who are you gonna
but
miss from the team? No, no, you don't have to answer that either, because that I
very
don't want.
specific people. I'm
Yeah,
not
like
going to answer
I
it.
asked that, and
Yeah,
now I'm just like,
I'll
oh,
tell
but
you who I won't miss.
who? Yeah, right. Let's just start there. No, I can't.
Right.
I can't do that. I don't know. I'm just. It's wild. It's wild because I don't know. I was thinking about it, man. PlanetSide is, as a fan, has been a really fun game to be involved in the community with for tons of reasons, but one of the biggest ones being that for some reason we got lucky enough to have lead devs who were crazy enough to get on camera and talk to us for years. I mean, first there was Higby and a lot of the other folks closer to launch, and then quiet period, and you came on, and like that's pretty. It's pretty unusual for someone in that position to be as open.
The benefit of that, however, is that when you say things that don't make sense, or you say things that are not agreeable with reality, or you say things that don't make any sense in a grander scale of the game that you're actually working on, uh, then you just end up making more of an ass out of yourself. And then your detractors and the people who don't either don't like you for personal reasons or don't like you because of the changes that you make or don't agree with what you're trying to do, you being that public face of this makes you an easy target. You know, no matter what side you end up taking, there's always going to be a section of the player base that doesn't like you.
Honest and interactive as
And when you're as publicly facing as Higby was, and really this is mostly Higby's fault because Higby was I talked about this with Deeg on the podcast I did with him, but when you're the public facing monolith for this specific game, and it's kind of always been that way, I don't know why a really quiet introverted guy like Rel necessarily would feel the need to do that. And it's obviously taken a toll on him because he's not that person. He's not an extroverted guy. Uh, and the Higby and Rel are not even remotely comparable. The only thing that is remotely comparable between those two is the title, is pretty much the title itself. Uh, in terms of what work was done on the game, not comparable. In terms of the social status that Higby held in the game, and Higby, I think ultimately for most people, is pretty, for the most part, pretty revered. I don't think Rel is going to suffer that same fate. I think Rel is going to be, for the most part, reviled. Maybe that's not the right word. Rel is not going to be looked on as well as Higby was. I'll say that much. But I don't think Rel helped his case by being the person that he is, being the game dev that he is, uh, and trying to do the same things that Higby did.
you and Higby were.
I kind of wonder if so. That's a little bit of a double-edged sword, the community interaction. I mean, anything I say is controversial,
Yeah.
potentially.
Especially when you say really, really stupid things.
And it can put the organization in.
Like, the people who don't like Osher are in an echo chamber. And who are you hearing this criticism about Osher from? These echo chamber. When you say really dumbass shit like that, that's that's on the internet. Like, it is a double-edged sword, and you got bit by it a lot.
In a tricky position if they're not just like on it and able to control a message, have people who can support a message, that sort of thing.
Right.
And me being very much solo in the people that I talk to and the things that I say, I think that the company probably would have rather me taken a back seat in more situations, but also I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that we would have been as successful as we were, because the game is small enough
Mm-hmm.
and the team is small enough to where you need to treat it almost like an indie project,
Mm.
where every when you look at indie games, most of them are very grassroots. They talk to
Mm-hmm.
the community, they're very involved,
Yeah.
and that's what they build off of, because they need that sort of um, you
Trust.
need, and like an yeah, exactly. I would say, evangelists for the game to
Mm-hmm.
help it succeed. And that was one of the things that I believed in, and kind of why I tried to, for better and for worse, speak with the community and the content creators as often as I can manage.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate it. It's been
But only specific members of the community that I haven't blocked on social media or blacklisted from my headspace, or only specific content creators who will repeat the propaganda or the message that I want to get out to people.
a really cool privilege to get the chance to interview you. I think some of the community rolls their eyes that I'm the guy who gets to interview you. Like I won some kind of a contest or something. Why did you decide to talk to me in the first place anyway?
um, you're not the only offer that I've received.
Uh huh.
Um, I'll say that much. But I look forward to talking to you the most,
Mm,
because you're more level-headed, introspective, and kind of just a good interviewer.
mm, thank you.
Yeah, I enjoy that, and I think that we have a lot in common, kind of just with how we approach certain topics and ideas, and I don't know, maybe just the state of being in general.
Sure.
So I would say that um,
I'm gonna get in trouble if I say anything
people
Yeah.
here.
can roll their eyes all they want.
Yeah. Same wavelength, man.
We're
No, I feel that too, dude. That's why I look so much forward to talking to you too. And I'm actually kind of when I heard that you were moving on, I saw the post. A bunch of people reached out to me just to kind of see, get a quick reaction from me. And the one I had a strong feeling, and I was trying to figure out how to put it into words. And what I came up with was good for him. That's what I came up with. I think that maybe because of our special connection, I am I have a sense of how hard pressed and how burnt out you were. And I talked to some of your harshest critics. I know the way that a lot of that goes down. And the deeper I look into it, the more I think that making a game like Planet Side the right way is
Has never been tried, first of all, before whatever he says.
it's it seems pretty close to impossible to do really
It's really hard and it seems impossible, especially when you don't even try.
well and right. And
It's really, really hard when you don't even fucking try.
keep most people
Or you have no fucking idea what you're doing or what you're working on. At its most basic level. Yeah, it seems impossible.
happy. So, and you were there for 7 years, man. And before that, you were working on the game still. You were doing the YouTube thing. So it's been like what, like a decade
Making
since you
shitty
haven't had to
loadout
think about
videos.
Planet Side every day.
yeah,
Shit,
yeah, dude.
shit.
Yeah, I mean, most people can't even hold a job for a year, or isn't that like the average? I can't remember the last
Is
time I
that
checked,
true?
but yeah, yeah.
Oh
I'm sure
man,
it's within a certain age range,
right.
especially
People
younger,
working at
but
restaurants. Yep.
right. But it's, man, it,
That's where Rel's gonna be shortly. He's gonna be back to delivering fucking Houlihan's on the go meals.
I, the history at this organization, much of it
Organization.
public, has been, tumultuous. Like you've seen kind
Yes.
of dev teams come and go, and games,
Hmm.
come and go.
Hmm.
And so it was a very interesting experience to be in the place that I was, and kind of just marching forward. I mean, I don't want to sound boisterous or anything, but I was there because it was I wanted to see like the game succeed. And I just wanted to just keep pushing for it. Like, hey, we got to do this thing. We got to do this thing.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
And it, I feel like at times it came at cost to the team, even especially when we're on the small team.
Mm.
The
Mm.
the burden that we had to shoulder was, I think it was, I don't know, it was a lot, but I think less so from the company and more from the community, and also because
Mm.
of my pushing. I think that I've certainly rubbed people the wrong way. I certainly could have handled some things better on that smaller team, but we had to be rock stars in order to even like make things go. And then
Mm-hmm.
even when the team ramped up, I think there was definitely, despite how large the team got, I feel like there was a lot that was. I don't know, for some reason I keep feeling like it was always the same level of work. Where
Maybe it's because the stupid shitty ideas that you had on the 3-person team followed you, and that same stink followed you to the big team. Maybe that maybe that has a little to do with it, man. Maybe that's why it feels the same to you. You know?
it was like
Huh.
constantly push, 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 push. Yeah, it's weird, right?
That is weird.
And I, yeah, I can't really put my finger on it, but it felt a lot like we were treading water,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what we were working on. Because I mean, I put out like a message toward the end of last year, I think,
Uh-huh.
or a little bit before that, talking about slowing down development because
Right.
things are just getting too unwieldy, and that's
Yeah, cuz you're biting off more than you can chew for a game that doesn't really need anything that you're trying to shove into it. And the things that you're shoving into the game are making the game worse. They're making the game worse. It's not making it any easier for you guys on the back end to work on it. It's causing all kinds of problems. Oh, we shoved something else into the game that makes performance run worse. Oh, we did something else to the game that makes the servers run worse. And just this on and on and on and on with the same shit over and over again. And at some point, you have to stop and be like, there has to be a stopping point where you it hits you. You're like, what the fuck are we doing? Maybe that was that point at last year where we have to slow down development, but honestly, I don't even think it hit him then.
going to come at cost. Lo and behold, population starts to decline and that sort of thing. It should be expected.
Yep.
Not to mention some of the knock-ons that were created from like the 10th anniversary update, where we just, the hackers come back, and then
That was a
capture the
bummer.
flag. Obviously, not capture the flag wasn't super exciting
I so
for
wanted
people.
CTF to be great.
Now well, imagine that who who asked for it, bro? And it's, it's still in the game. Why?
Man, I so
Me
wanted it to be
too.
great.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of potential
No. Yeah, there's a lot of potential for it in another game. Not in this game. That's not what this game is about.
there, but
Mm-hmm.
need more.
This guy is just always chasing fucking the rear ends of cars, man. He's just the dog with no sense of direction who's out on the street chasing every car that drives by.
Room and time for experimentation, and I don't know how tolerant people are nowadays.
Sure.
It's not that we're not tolerant, it's that when your idea fundamentally makes no fucking sense for the game space that you have available to work with, then you're just you're just pissing people off. And you're just shitting on ruining a whole bunch of fucking bases that people still can semi enjoy playing at. But that's never good enough for this guy.
And then server performance was like,
It's been fucking awful for like going on 8 years now. It isn't a recent thing.
man, that was the one thing
And the thing with the Connery thing last
I
year,
feel
like
like that roasted us for the longest period of time because it took like what 6 months almost to get it cleaned out,
Yeah.
and and
incompetent.
that's the thing that I like. We're constantly working on it, but those player numbers are just going to continue to drop because despite how vocal the community was about it, there's even more people who are leaving, because the game is just unplayable. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
having to,
Quietly
I
leaving.
feel like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I feel like there was just constantly challenges to overcome, regardless of what we tried to do, whether it's slow down or whether it's,
Sure.
do make an update that we know we can pull off. Man, it's just it was
At what point though? Again, at what point does it enter into your thick skull that what you're trying to do to the game isn't good for it and isn't helping and isn't achieving your goal? It isn't growing your game. It isn't making your game better. It isn't bringing people back. How many years of this shit do we have to go down?
it was always something.
Interesting. Huh. The sense that no matter where you set your aim or how many people you have
Maybe the idea is just fucking wrong.
to achieve it, it still feels like same level of success, same amount of throughput. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not that interesting. It's because the message and the design and the vision goal for the game is still coming from the same person who doesn't fucking get it. It's not that hard to understand.
yeah, I mean, man, it made sense to me when you came out with that message last year about slowing things down. I think that seeing that message, thinking about it, um, it got me thinking about like if I could look at PlanetSide 2 like in a bunch of eras, I think there are a few obvious inflection points, like escalation, obviously an inflection point, and there are some points before that too. Um, but I asked myself, like, what characterizes Rel's time at the helm of PlanetSide 2?
Skill gap compression
And what I came away with was the word
and bloat, system bloat, and skill gap compression. Those are the two that come to mind for me.
ambition. And I think that that's
Ambition.
what impresses me most about when I look back
Oh
at
God.
what you tried to tackle with the team. And I know there are a lot of people there. It's not all you, buddy. But uh, adding a fourth faction,
Whoa.
making a new continent,
Whoa.
creating a competitive format with 100 dudes on a map,
Doesn't matter. Community already did it.
a brand new thing with
No.
a tournament bracket and
Community already
everything.
did it.
Um, these are not.
This guy, first of all, this guy had nothing to do with anything remotely related to anything with the competitive game. Going back all the way, this guy could fucking care less. Okay? Outfit Wars is not. No. The only credit I give him is making the Nexus Battle Islands Outfit War thing a thing and having the 1v1 Outfit Wars. So we could watch all these shitters go in and get fucking curb stomped because they couldn't bring more pop. The greatest. I'll always give the team credit for making that decision. Good job.
Let's just make sure the core game works and keep the existing people happy. This is like, no, we PlanetSide deserves more, and we're gonna try. Or
Yeah, but even if it did deserve more, which I think you could dispute or argue that it didn't, and you needed to shore up and work on the core game, are you are you the guy to do it and to lead that? I don't fucking think so.
bleed on the way there.
Yeah, it was definitely, ambition is something that I've always strived for. And part of it, I feel like, is just always trying to make the game something that it try to reach unrealized potential.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what we did, escalation and otherwise, it I think at the end of the day, it kind of just, I think we're kind of stuck with what we have.
Yeah.
Like there's only
The game is what it is. People have been saying that for almost really a decade. It is what it is, man. It's figured out. Why people like me have been saying all these years. It's not Warframe. It's never going to be Warframe. It's never going to be Destiny. It's never going to have the things that this guy so badly wants to tear out of other games and shove into this game. It's just oil and water, man. It's not what the game is. The game is a bigger Battlefield game with a scientific or a fucking sci-fi futuristic setting. That's all it is. That's all it ever has been, and that's fucking all it ever was going to be or will be. This specific game. That's it. And to go outside and just constantly try to shove things into this game, and not only is that unhelpful, what's also extremely unhelpful is not fucking even trying ever to address the problems that when you get down to it and when you finally do accept that this game is just what I said it was, a bigger Battlefield game, a Battlefield game with bigger scale, with slightly longer time to kill values. And instead of a server browser, you press your U key on your keyboard. That's your server browser. You're at a base, you're in a match, you're fighting people, and then you press your U key on your keyboard, and bam, you're back out to the server browser. Oh, I'm gonna head over to the Ganon Southern fucking server in the server browser. That's the reality of the game. It's not any more complicated than that. Now, once you get to that point, you start to understand. Now we can finally focus in on things that are actually problems within that framework of that game. Now, when you can't even get to that space and understand that's what the game is, when you can't even get there, then you're just out here throwing all this. Oh, we need capture the flag. We need a fucking social hub for some fucking reason. What else do we need? I don't know. We need some kind of building. We need some, like, people ask for player housing. Well, this is the closest we can get to it. What construction? We have all this other shit. And then when you finish over the years working on that stuff, and you're still like, why isn't this having the effect that I want? It's because all this really has absolutely nothing to do with this. It doesn't. It definitely doesn't help this. What is the reality of the game? It doesn't help this at all. It doesn't help, but it can definitely take away from whatever you have here. And I think that's what we've seen.
Only so much.
So, like, yeah, this Rel's realization that all this stupid shit that we've been doing and trying to force into the game hasn't really made the game any better, and most could argue, in fact, that it's made the game worse, i.e., look at the past, especially 2 years, and the current state of the game, which the current state of the game is 100% to be blamed on this person. You can't get around it.
That we can do. If you look back at just the patch notes and just the years of development, a lot has changed, and even a lot of small
A lot has changed, but a lot hasn't.
things too. Like a lot of even like bugs that have been around for like 6 to 10 years, have gotten like cleaned up under my era. But it at the same time it just doesn't feel like, man, it's just really hard to win, and that's something that I was very
It's really hard to win when you're not even playing the same game.
averse to coming to terms with, because
It's hard to win in a game of horse when you bring a tennis racket.
just like want to do more. We need to do better. Need to
Yeah.
make, you know,
But you don't know what that is. That's the fundamental problem.
things that people can enjoy, because you can't just sustain a game on just like having like a solid experience.
Yeah, you can. But the thing is, you've never you've never had that. Okay? Cuz the base experience in the game is fundamentally flawed. I've always said, man, why don't you fucking try making a good game first? And I say it's not just specific to this game, but for all these fucking would-be developers out there, man, try to make a good game first. Before you get into all the how am I going to make money, how am I going to fucking sell battle passes, if you just fucking make a good game that people want to play with a good base game, the money will come. That you'll be able to sell whatever cosmetics you want, all that extra dumb shit. You'll be able to make it. But if for some reason you think you this is so, I mean, it makes total sense to me that this guy would think that you can't just make a solid base game and that's good enough. At this point, man, yeah, it is good enough. It really is. It doesn't have to be all that. And all you ever had to do, man, and I feel bad for you for being unable to realize this until you're unemployed. All you had to do was shore up the foundations of the game, which patch note after patch note I read you talking about, what was it, 2021 or 2022, we shored up the foundations of the game. You don't even know what the fuck that is. And that's always been your problem. Because I can tell you don't know what that is because the things that you worked on and proclaimed were the foundational aspects of the game, in reality, not even fucking close.
The nostalgia hits from the 90s can definitely do that, like games like CS:GO and
CSGO is not a nostalgia hit from the 90s.
you know, I mean that's probably the big one, but like Team Fortress 2 is still like kicking around and that sort of thing.
But those are fundamentally just good games. They made good fucking games that make sense and are cohesive at a base level. You never tried to do that.
But
Those
even
are the
then,
grand
I mean,
exceptions to the rule.
exactly.
As long as those games have servers, that's all.
Like, it's just, but that's why those games stand the test of time. And the shit that morons like this guy shit out every year now, that's why those games fucking suck and die, because they hold this attitude. They hold the attitude that just making a good base game isn't good enough. And that's why games like Counter-Strike continue. Like Deeg said, as long as those games have fucking servers up, it'll have players. PlanetSide 2? No. All this other fucking trash that's being put out, not even close. Because these guys have the most fucked mindset when it comes to this.
All people need.
For sure. And now
And then they just get to use it as an excuse, like, fuck making a good game. Fuck working on the fundamentals and basics of our games now, because those games are outliers. Yeah, fuck doing that. They don't. I mean, come on. We can't be expected to fucking do that now. Come on, guys.
nowadays there's so much competing for people's time and attention that you have to keep
That's right. And guess what? People are still playing TF2 and CS:GO.
drawing people back into the game.
This is that new age fucking retarded soy dev mindset that I can't stand. That they just are head over heels for the fucking play 1 day a month casual shitter that they get back into the game with their little battle pass or their microtransaction, their cosmetics. That's what this guy is talking about.
Yeah, if you and you know the interesting challenge with PlanetSide 2 is the less people there are, the less enjoyment that you're having
Yeah.
ultimately.
feel
So
it. You feel it really immediately when things aren't great.
right.
Yeah, so it's gotta really suck when your baby Osher literally kills the player counts in your game, and you have to face that for a year at the same time while you're lying and gaslighting your entire community, saying that there's nothing wrong. The people that don't like Osher are just in an echo chamber. Must really suck to finally reach that understanding and realization that your baby is what's killing the game and taking that enjoyment away from people.
It's
As a tough
it's a very
challenge.
difficult, right.
And like the way that PlanetSide feels like, I mean, this when it's good, it feels like the coolest like AAA first person shooter experience you can have, where tons of things are going on. You can choose tons of ways to play. There are tons of things to engage with, and it's interesting because it manages to pull off that feeling despite a relatively small community, a small number of people who play it compared to a lot of other, popular first person shooters people might compare PlanetSide to. And I that seems like such a hard draw of the deck to get to. We've launched a game. Now let's keep iterating on it. And what you have is this thing, that has a community of a few thousand players, but you have to have 1,000 of them playing together in order for it to feel good. Damn, man.
It's rough, dude. Like, what do you think about it, man? If so, a game like Warframe, just as an example,
Yeah.
very
Okay.
PVE driven,
Yep.
and so regardless of the content that you put out, I mean, players might be happy, players might not be happy, but it's going to be around and it's going to be just as fun,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
statically just as fun. For us, we have to keep iterating, make more, do more, bring people back into the game,
Hmm.
and then also we're reaching the limits of our like design space,
Sure.
for the veterans and stuff too, to where you see, whenever there's any explosive weapon added to the game, the core community is like, why? But there's only so much that you can kind of do, and also there's a lot of different.
This is the problem with this guy, man, and the people like him. Like it, they think it's like they think they're done. They you have guns even after Arsenal. There's so many just throwaway, useless guns, and like if you asked Rel in 2016, like which I've this is a conversation I had with him on his stream one time. I was asking about the problems with the gunplay in the game. And I think it was 2015 or 2016, and then he's just like, "Oh, there are no problems with the gunplay in the game." I mean, that was then. Like, how do you? It's how do you get through to someone who like? It was always fascinating to me. It's like I can make as a designer and a lead game designer on an FPS game, the fact that I can take guns that are designed for dueling in close ranges and use them out to huge ranges that they're not intended to be used at. Like this is just a very basic example. Like it's shit like that. I mean, fundamentally, like I don't mind me as a player, I really don't mind if that's a thing in the game. I really don't. But as someone whose goal it is and whose job it is to flesh out the design in his FPS game, for you to just look at stuff like that and be like, it's not it doesn't really matter. When in reality, you have people that sit on Reddit all day or on the forums and complain about the Beetlejuice all day. They're like, oh, it's too accurate. It's his heat. It's like, and then I'm watching Leroy or watch my friends play the game, and they're killing people with Beetlejuice, Orion, MSW out to like 100 fucking meters, like pretty easily. like as a player, I don't mind that because at some point it does take some ability to use that. But ultimately, if you're responsible for balancing this stuff, is that what you want to happen in the game? You have to weigh it there, and he's not considering that from a it takes more skill to shoot people at that range. He's just an idiot and thinks that's fine. And the problem with that is he thinks it's fine, but then when he does get around to the problem, he thinks you solve the problem by making ARs and LMGs fall off the same as carbines. Which is a whole nother fucking different direction. Like, do you see the fucking fundamental problem? Or he's a guy who thinks that if you just give more access to attachments for a 650 fucking 143, that is somehow making you make the gun better. Like, it's just,
I guess, flavors of content that people enjoy. There's a reason that we cater to vehicle players.
the point there I'm trying to make is there's so much actual, real, tangible work you could do and changes you could make to this game that these morons are just cognitively blocked from considering because they think they're done. It's like going to get your kids' fucking homework, right? You're like, hey, show me your homework. And it's a two-sided piece of paper. And the front side is like, okay, looks good. Now, turn over the back. And the back, all the fucking, no, he hasn't answered any of the stuff on the back. You didn't finish. But he's going to turn that in and be like, I mean, we're running out of design space.
And cater to infantry players and cater to construction players in different
Fuck construction players. Nothing ever, you should never, ever, ever, ever cater anything to construction players. Fuck construction players. Construction needs to be removed from the game. It has no purpose. It serves no purpose other than to waste everyone's fucking time. Fuck construction
ways
players.
and all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if PlanetSide 2, way back in the day when it was initially designed, had a more well-defined vision for vision's not even the right word, honestly.
No, it is.
I think it's created hard limitations on what they were willing to embrace.
What have I been asking for? What have I been asking for the entire time I've talked about this game? You need sanity checks. You need real world fucking limitations on what. If you give players the ability to pull infinite fucking vehicles and do everything anytime all at once, you need to have some common sense things, man. And if he's right here. And he's, in some ways, he's handcuffed by that original design, but at the same time, everybody wants to suck his dick for having the game longer than Higby did, which, okay, who the fuck cares? It doesn't matter anyway. What they did is not even remotely comparable. But if you're going to suck his dick about having the game for longer than Higby, you can't also use the excuse that, well, the way they set up the game is you can change it. You had it long enough to where you could change it. But you decided not to. You decided never to address anything that actually fucking mattered. You decided never to actually address any real problems. And that's your fucking ultimate downfall, Mr. Rel.
So, for example, like, should players be able to get vehicles 100% of the time?
Nope.
We made a decision at some point back in 2016-ish to say, like, hey, is this the thing we want or is this the thing that we don't want? It was with the Combined Arms Initiative. And just talking it over with the other designers, and where we landed was like, these players have been doing this for a while, and we're going
Who cares?
to lose them if they don't.
Yeah.
Surprise, ended up losing a lot of them anyway, to try to like broaden the appeal. But it's
learn.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's just
you get locked in. Like how much of a sense when you started working with the team? I knew you like did some contracting at first before you came in. And obviously, you were there for a while before you, were sort of had the responsibility to determine the overall direction, design, whatever. How much of a sense did you have of being locked into a previous design decisions versus how much were you just sort of wide eyed and excited to go get it? Like, what was the How did you feel when you were going into it back then?
Way back in 2016 ish, I was there was so much that the game needed uh, that it didn't have, like things like optics for pistols. Like, that's not nobody's list to
Uh-huh.
do, but the community
Uh-huh.
has talked about it. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it. Just like make the stuff and use existing
Yeah, man.
optics, and like, yeah, no, that's a thing now. Yeah, so there was a bunch of stuff like that that I was like very willing to kind of like jump into and deal with. A lot of weapon balance kind of like way back as well. Actually, the team consulted me on certain things. Um,
Why would you consult this guy on for anything to do with weapon balance? This guy is not a fucking FPS player. Like,
just as like just like as easy tasks that they could throw me,
Mm-hmm.
just like pushing numbers around and that sort of thing. Like that was
Yeah.
something that I would kind of dip my toes in the water. Um, yeah, I think that when they at some point the team got so the people that were there, and I had a very limited experience with many of them on the Planetside 2 team. Many of them were moved off to H1Z1 because it
Right.
was like booming.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep, before they fucking self-sabotaged.
and while still being able to like consult them, it was pretty much just like us doing kind of our own thing
Mm-hmm.
with 3 developers. We received support from various people. Like when we needed some art or something, we go talk to Bishop or Bill
Mm-hmm.
Yates, and they hook us up. Um, when there were any questions that I had about like how something needed to work as far as the design or the tools were concerned, that was easy enough to consult, Bishop or Jason Good or any of uh, these really talented, you know, designers and human beings. Um, so it was it was enough to get me started, and then I just had like a veracity to learn everything. I love just ripping the guts out of like the engine, just like reverse engineering. Like, how does this work? We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
What makes a lightning a lightning?
Right. Yeah. That sort of stuff is really exciting to me. I love learning and creating.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my lifeblood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Designer at heart. So it sounds like more on the wide-eyed and ready to go side of the spectrum compared to the weary veteran, which you earned over the years.
Dying slowly on the inside and out. Yeah.
If you could send a
We all are.
message back to yourself.
All right. This is going to be a part. I'm going to split this up. I'm not going to put this all together. This pretty much ends the first section looking back. The next part is another part I want to talk about a lot. It's the challenge of knowing who to listen to. Deeg is about to ask him if there's one thing you could go back and look at or tell yourself in the past, you know, that you could take from now and tell yourself in the past. And he goes on to knowing who to listen to. So that's going to be a part 2. Thanks for watching. I think there's going to maybe end up being 3 or 4 parts to this. I want to keep this relatively short, coming in under an hour. I'm going to try to make all these relatively under an hour. But yeah, look forward to the next part. I will see you guys later.